Today we're at Sunset Middle School, home of the Rockets, and today we're here to
Do the math! Yay!
Well, this afternoon we're at Sunset Middle School, and I've got 8th grade student Helie with me. How are you?
Good.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. We're going to work on calculating the percent of a number. What can you tell me right now about percent? Is there anything you know about percent? What can you tell me? If you take a test, what's the highest percent you can get?
100.
So you want to get 100, right?
Yeah.
So percent is something out of 100, because you always get 100?
Yeah.
You always get 100 on every test?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I'm start studying the way you study, because I know I've never gotten 100 out of everything I've done. So a percent is some part out of 100. So the 100 is the whole thing, okay? So we want to find 32% of 29. So how would you go about solving this problem?
Dividing.
You want to divide? What else could you do? Do you know what the word of means?
Yeah.
What? In math, it means a certain thing. Okay, so it means we're going to multiply something. Okay, now we could go 32% written like that, but it's going to be more difficult. So how could we rewrite that to make it easier to multiply? Because if we have a percent, let's say you got a 90% on a test, that would be the same as 9 out of 10 or 90 out of 100, correct?
Yeah.
But we really don't want to deal with fractions. If we can, let's do it with decimals, all right? So how would we rewrite this as a decimal? Do you know how to do that? If we go 0.9. You've seen that before?
Yeah.
Right, okay. And then 90 hundredths, right, would be the same thing, okay? But we just don't need that 0 at the end because we just have 0.9. All right. So if I want 32%, how would I rewrite that as a decimal?
0.32.
Right. So why don't you go ahead and put 0.32 right there. So 0.32 is 32 out of 100, which is what that means, 32 out of 100. Okay. So it's going to be 0.32 times what?
100.
Well, we're going to go times the other number we want, right? So go ahead and rewrite that number. So we have 0.32 times 29, all right? So we'll get rid of this so we have more room to work here. So now, when you multiply, if you multiply with a decimal, we don't even have to worry about the decimal right now until we get to the answer, all right? So go ahead and multiply those for me and show me how you're going to multiply that out. All right, now there are some students watching this that aren't really sure on how to multiply yet, so explain to me what you're doing as you're doing it.
So first I will multiply 2 times 9, then I'll multiply 9 times 3.
Okay, so we know that 2 times 9 is 18, but why do you only write an 8?
Because we can't put both numbers right here, so I'll put the 1 over the 3.
Okay, so you're going to carry that 10. Okay, so now what do you want to do?
Multiply 9 times 3.
And what's that?
27.
Mm-hmm. So you said 9 times 3 is 27.
And
Well, what are you doing erasing already?
I had to add a 1.
You had to add the 1. Why do you have to add that 1?
Because I can't leave the 1 right there.
You can't leave it by itself, right? You put it up there for a reason, so we're going to use it, right? It's another 10. Okay, so now what does it become?
28.
All right. Now what do we do?
Then we multiply 2 times 2. Well, first we would have to imagine that there's a 0 right here.
Well, you can put a 0. We don't have to imagine it, right?
Because
So a placeholder, right? Sometimes kids put an X or different things in there, but a 0 will work as well. All right, so now what?
we'll multiply 2 times 2, which is
Okay.
4.
Good.
And then 3 times 2, which is 6.
Now, before you keep going, you've done everything perfect so far. So you went 2 times 3 is 6. Do we need to use that 1 again?
No,
Why not?
because we already used it.
Because it was part of the 18, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure because some kids will go, well, you used it once, why not use it again? But that's why. All right.
So then we just add it.
All right.
And we just add a decimal right there.
Why do we put the decimal? Make it a little darker there. Why do we put the decimal right there?
Because we had a decimal right there, but since we didn't use it right here, we just had to put it right there.
But why not right there?
Because we only had to move it once.
If we have it here, how many numbers are after the decimal point?
2.
2, right? So in this number, right, you had 928. If there is no decimal in a number, where is it? Just think of 928. Can I write 928 like this?
Yeah.
I can still do that, right? So if there's no decimal present in a number, it just goes at the end, right? So 928 is what you came up with. And there were 2 numbers after the decimal point here. So in order to make it 32, you had to move it 2 places, right? Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to move this 2 places, right? 1, 2. So we get 9.28, which is the same thing you got, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. How would you read that number instead of saying 9.28? Can you think of another way to say that? Because if I have this, how would I say that?
2 out of 10.
2 out of 10, or I could say 2/10, right? How would I say this?
2 out of 100.
2 out of 100, or
2 hundredths.
200ths, right? Because there's 2 places. So this is the tenths, this is the hundredths. So now how could we say this? We could say 9
Out of
and
28 hundredths.
there you go, because of the 2 places, right?
Yeah.
So you have the whole number, and then the decimal point is always and. So it's 9 and 28 hundredths. But, so what is 32% of 29? What is our answer?
9 and 28 hundredths.
9 and
28 hundredths.
there you go, 9 and 28 hundredths. Haley, good work.